Hello, you guys, and welcome to another recent gaming video. And this was a game and therefore a video that I didn't think I was going to play and or then make a video about it afterwards. But I don't know. After finishing this last night, this brief, like 10 or 15 minute long experience with a game, I feel like I do want to comment about it a little bit. The game is called Emily is Away. It's just this little game on Steam that I know a few YouTubers played in the last few weeks. And after kind of seeing a little bit of it one day, I haven't watched the videos from the people that I like to watch. I haven't watched them play it yet because I'm super behind on videos. But when I found out the game was free to play, I thought, I'll just give it a shot and see what it's all about. Well, what it is all about is this sort of interaction between a guy or a person or whomever that you play as. In my case, I just kind of said, okay, this is me. And then this girl who I am talking to over like Instant Messenger, like AOL's Instant Messenger. I don't even know if it was branded to seem like that or not. But it does seem like it was AIM or just an Instant Messenger in general. But it had all of the trappings and all of the little pieces that I remember from my years of doing Instant Messenger and message boards and stuff like that in the late 90s and early 2000s. Some of my first experiences with the internet revolved around that stuff. Some of my first relationships with people. My first girlfriend that I ever had was an online relationship with someone who I never even got to meet face to face. So I guess I should have expected that this game was going to, gut kick me a few times. And that's the reason why I wanted to talk about it, because it absolutely did. It took me back to a time that was really important to me back then. And now that I look back on it, I just kind of wonder, what was I doing? What was I thinking? And if I could go back and change it, would I? I'm not sure if I would, even though I question that so much. Anyway, I should talk about the game a little further before I get into these other thoughts. So anyway, you pick up, it's like 2001, I think, and it's your last year of high school, and you're talking to this girl named Emily who is a friend and possibly something more, at least a love interest to the character that you play. And you basically sign into your instant messaging account, and you start having this discussion with this Emily girl. And she writes a few things, and then down below where you would respond, you get these three options, and they'll be led with just a word or a statement. You hit the number of the one that you want to do, and then the game literally makes you type on the keyboard. You don't have to type exactly the words that are coming up on the screen, but as you are like simulating typing, your response pops up. And then you hit enter, and it sends the message, and she responds. And you just have these little dialogues, and you talk to her about stuff, including like a guy that she knows in her life and a party that she's going to, and are you going to go to the same party, and what's going on in your life. It's really benign, it's really simple and basic, it's just a storytelling game. Like a Gone Home, even though you're walking around in this house and picking up things, all you're really doing is interacting with and being told this story as you go. You don't really get to make a whole lot of impactful decisions. It's funny, the game employs the Telltale Games, Emily will remember that. You chose to do this. And it puts it up on the screen to try to make you think like you're really having an impact. But here's the reason why I don't think that you really are having an impact. There are several points throughout the game when you select a choice, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is good. I'm trying to reach out and connect to her. I feel like the game is saying that my person that I'm playing as, and this Emily, have either had a relationship, could possibly have a relationship, or they want to seek out a relationship with one another. So I was actually trying to direct it to that, because when I was hot and heavy in instant messaging stuff back in the early 2000s, it was with a lot of people who I considered to be friends, but it was also with a few females who I was interested in connecting with in some way, as to say, hey, I know that we're not in the same place at the same time, but I'd like to get to know you better, and maybe something could come of this later on. Sadly, I never got to have an instant messaging relationship with somebody who was in the same town as me, like somebody that I knew and I could communicate with them. It was always long distance stuff that I guess now I look back on it 10 plus years later, I guess it was always doomed to fail. I know lots of people have great success with online relationships from far apart. I never did, and it really soured me on the whole prospect of it. But anyway, I'm trying to make these choices that I think will allow my character and this character to maybe have something. But every once in a while, you'll pick a response and you'll start to do the typing thing, and you'll type out something, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. And then as you're typing, he deletes it and he types something else that's a little more generic and a little safer reply. And I'm like, no, but you can't change it. It's where I feel like the game is super manipulative, and I'm sure that it was meant to be that way. And I'm sure, a lot of people would say, well, you can't always expect a happy ending, and you can't always expect this or that. I understand. But it was the personal ties and connections to it that took me through a loop. And the game succeeded in that level. Whoever created this little experience, if they were trying to have an emotional impact on people, especially people like me, you succeeded. You did. You drug me through memory lane and took me through a bunch of emotional memories in my lifespan that were kind of hard to go back through. Something that I wasn't expecting from the game, especially because it played out exactly like I would imagine it probably would in order to have the most impact. Like talking to this girl, and she mentions some guy, and you kind of try to steer the conversation away from let's not dwell on it. There's a lot of people who are interested in somebody who has somebody else in their life. They'll be nice, and they'll be like, oh, well, I'm happy for you, but deep down inside, they're not really happy for you, because they believe that they can make that person happy and that person would make them happy, and that's who should be together. And you never want to talk to somebody about the happiness that they're having elsewhere when you believe that you could bring that kind of happiness to them yourself. Unless your relationship with them has already happened and it didn't go well and it wasn't successful, or maybe you've even tried more than one time and you just know that it's over. Some people may be dense and they don't see it, but other people may realize that there's still promise and potential there. So yeah, it's really hard to talk to somebody about their happiness with someone else. So I was trying to steer it towards, hey, maybe this game is going to open up and say, hey, what about us? And eventually it does. You get a little experience, and then it goes to the next year. It's a lot of time and a lot of events that can pass in between each of these little installments of this game. It had like 6 of them, and it went year by year by year. It was like last year of high school, first year of college, went through a couple years of college until they were at the end. But right in the middle of all that, you actually had a chance, in my game anyway. I'm sure that the choices can take the story in slightly different directions. But in my game at one point, I was able to actually talk to her. She had broken up with the guy that she was with before. And in my character's life, he had a female friend named Emma. It's hilarious how that happens so often. You date or you fall in love with somebody, things don't work out, or you never connect with them in the way that you wanted to. Somewhere down the road, you end up dating somebody who looks like them, who has a similar name, Emily and Emma, yada, yada, yada. I've felt that way in my life. I've been attracted to a lot of people in the last few years who remind me of somebody else from just a few years ago who I never quite connected with because I screwed everything up. So now I seek her out in all these other people. I seek out someone who looks like her. I seek out people with names that are similar. It's just freaking, it's like you couldn't write this stuff. It could only happen in real life. So I thought I was directing things towards she wanted to come visit me in the game, And I was like, cool, that sounds good. And I was trying to, for a brief moment, I slipped right into that whole college guy thing. I don't know if this had any kind of an effect, but she was like, hey, should I bring some alcohol? I was like, no, I got my own alcohol. I probably should have just selected the option that was, no, we don't need any alcohol. But they meet up. I mean, they sign off as, okay, I'll see you soon, and then you jump to the next year, and all of a sudden now things are weird between you and Emily. And she starts to ask you, was all that planned out for just a hookup? And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I got manipulated into what I thought was innocent sounding, and then at the end of it, apparently the two of them hooked up. They got drunk. I'd like to believe that they didn't just get knocked down, wasted, where he might have done something inappropriate. But she felt like things had changed and things were weird after that because they hooked up, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, is there any possible way? I want to go back and play this game again because I want to know if there's any possible way for things to not be so goddamn awkward and I don't know, just if things could be not so freaking real. I know that a few of the people who played it on YouTube, from overhearing one of them, it sounded like even that person was upset. Did I make a wrong choice, or would things just naturally have evolved to this? It also made me, and I'm sorry if this is jumping all over the place because I have a lot of thoughts on it, but it also made me think something else. As I looked at this and I longed for those old days, I longed for that positivity and that hopefulness that came in talking to somebody. I hope that something will work out because of this. I want to make you happy. I can't wait every day to come home from school or work and talk to you online and just share my thoughts with you and hear about your day and just connect in some way. And things are so wildly volatile, as in one day somebody's happy and the next day they're upset, and one day they're super interested and the next day they're not. And I began to wonder while I was playing this game, is that just something that happens when you're 18, 20, 24, 25, and by the time you're 41 like me, you realize, God, that was such bullshit back then. That's just not the way that life works. And why did I fall into that trap? And maybe is that why so many people these days, especially females, so jaded against guys because we're all a bunch of pricks, especially when we're younger? Like, I'm a guy who I don't feel like I ever would have been that way if I had had a chance to really date back in those formative years. But maybe I have the outlook on that I do now because I never did, because I was someone who observed it and didn't really live it. I don't know. See this stupid little freaking free-to-play game that you can find on Steam has me thinking of all these things just from sitting down and playing it for like 10 or 15 minutes. I'm not even sure if I pull this up here, if it'll tell me how long I spent playing this game last night. 34 minutes. My entire experience with it was 34 minutes. And the next day, here I am, sitting in front of this camera, talking about it and thinking about all these things. Like I said, it took me for a trip down memory lane. Like, it literally, if you've ever used an instant messaging service or AIM in particular, when somebody would come online or go offline, there's the sound of a door opening or shutting. That's in this game. The first time I heard that on this, I felt like I had just gotten to the freaking DeLorean and went back 15 years. And it took me to that whole frame of mind I had back then. And it, like I said, everything was so hopeful back then. I was so invested in, especially that one particular online relationship that I had, that I remembered all the good times, all of the happiness, all the excitedness and anticipation I would feel. But I also remember all the disappointment and pain and hurt that I felt when that one relationship that I had ended. And the attempts that I made afterwards to have something new and to find that happiness and fill that void. That then, of course, in real life turned into a marriage that I probably never should have been a part of, which eventually ended in a divorce and re-finding somebody else from my past and having an almost similar situation, only with a lot of Facebooking and texting, that I then managed to fuck up. And so much stuff in my life has been around relationships. And I've been alone for a lot of years now without any kind of relationship in that way. And it's a whole new lonely path of pain and disappointment and heartache that it would be if I was having a relationship and it didn't work out. For me, and it's not for everybody, but for me, this life has been nothing but that kind of bullshit. And it doesn't matter if I'm having a relationship or I'm not. It doesn't matter if a relationship that I'm having ends and it hurts, or if I'm empty and lonely and it hurts. I know that doesn't sound very hopeful on my part, and yet deep down inside of me, I'm still hopeful that something positive will come to, at some point in my life with a relationship. I'm just hindered and held back by all the trappings of social bullshit that we have to deal with today. Like, I don't want to go through all of the rigmarole of dating somebody and spending time with them and spending money and effort just to find somebody who's not going to like me. I just want to be able to say, here is who the fuck I am, and if you're interested, reach out and we could talk a little bit. I don't really know where I'm going with this. This wasn't intended to become a discussion about this. And I've already sat down to record one video that I ended up deleted because I didn't like where it was going. So none of that other stuff, I guess, has much to do with the game. I guess I just wanted to explain how this game affected me, and it really did. And it's bothering me just how much it's putting me through. But I guess maybe that's a testament to the power of this little experience. Emily is Away is something that I'm glad that I played, and I'm pissed that I played. So just take it for what that's worth, and I'll see you guys next time, and with something that might be just a little more happy and enjoyable at the end of the day. All right, let's see you guys later.